Okay, guys, so welcome everyone. We are going to celebrate another webinar, Friday webinar. Yeah. So before we start, I just want to say that this webinar has been organized by the Weekly Fasting Group. This is a group of individuals from all over the world who cultivate the habit of fasting, abstaining from food for at least 24 hours every week on a consistent basis. It's a great habit to develop. And my name is Arik. I'm the facilitator of this group. So in case these ideas appeal to you and you're watching this video on YouTube later on and you want to join this group, it's completely free and it's a WhatsApp group. You just have to find my WhatsApp number below this video, send me a message with your name, and I will happily add you to the group and add you to the family. And today, guys, we have a very special guest, Jerome Shaw. He's a motivational speaker. He's a pranic being. He's a fasting practitioner, meditation practitioner, and many other things. So, and we will start as usual with a short guided meditation by Jerome. So, dear Jerome, over to you.
Right, and blessings to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate this time and always honored and humbled for the opportunity to come together. It's one of my favorite topics to speak on. So thank you so much, Arik, for this session and this time. Yeah,
It's my pleasure. It's absolutely my pleasure. I'm the first one who is enjoying it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So wherever you are, right wherever you are, you can get comfortable, just kind of ease into your own personal space. You can close your eyes, you can have them lightly open, whatever you like, and just relax. Take a few deep breaths. You can do your own body scan, checking in with yourself. Allow your forehead to relax. Let your eyebrows relax. Let your jaw relax. All the muscles in the face. Allow your shoulders to relax. Let your arms and hands relax. Relax your fingertips, your chest, your abdomen. Relax your hips, your thighs, your legs. Relax your feet, your toes. Relax the whole body. As the more relaxed the body, the easier the energy flows. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this moment of peace and breath for yourself. Thank you for sharing the breath.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jerome. Wow, was wonderful. Okay, guys. So let's start the webinar. Our topic today is how to stay happy on the fasting / pranic lifestyle. But before we delve into this super important topic, Jerome, maybe you could just present yourself, because there might be some people who don't know you, to tell in short your pranic story, your life story, and then we can delve into this subject more deeply.
Of course, of course. And when you say life story, you mean my life, or just how I started this journey in particular?
Whatever feels right to you, because for some people, maybe they had certain experiences in their lives that led them to this pranic journey. So whatever feels right to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is a special space here, because I remember, Arik, when you started this, some years ago, and it was just, a few people in the beginning, and then it just started growing, exponentially.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and during that time, I remember I was in California, and I was coming from certain life experiences of my own, definitely ones that I had not planned for, but ones that led me to the places that I need to be, to meet the people I needed to meet, and see the things I needed to see. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So I can talk about that.
Sure, absolutely.
So coming from a particular relationship that I was in, that I feel like I came to this path from a relationship that was very eye-opening. Before this relationship, I had not developed a relationship with myself. It was very externalized. Even though I had spent a lot of time alone, there was a 10-year period where it was me and another person. And we shared a lot of memories and a lot of experiences together. And when we separated, when we split, it was as if a piece of me had gone, you know, my identity had been wrapped up in this relationship. And so I was sort of lost, you know, there was pain, there was heartache, there was heartbreak, there was confusion, there was lack, there was scarcity, there was neediness, there was, you know, just a sense of, where do I go from here? What do I do from here? And I found myself traveling on a road trip from Texas to California. And I went to one meditation seminar with a group of Burmese monks and nuns from Myanmar. And after attending this seminar, you know, they taught me so many things about suffering, the reasons why we suffer, the mind, mindfulness, and detachment. And they offered me to stay at their center. And I said, what? Like, what do you mean? You know, I was a complete stranger. I met them on Meetup, you know, and it's interesting how technology and these devices, you know, say what we will about using this technology, but it's been a wonderful way to lead me back to myself and to lead me back to certain practices that I don't know if I would have ever adopted had I not partaken in certain apps and applications that led me to that. So one of them was Insight Timer, the other one was Headspace, and these got me into that meditation mode. And that was back in 2017. In 2019, when I met these monks and nuns and they took me into their center without knowing anything about me, but I guess just feeling my energy and understanding where I was, I accepted and I went into the center to learn from them, to just be around them and to help where I could. I started driving them to places where they would take donations and just observe them in their own meditations. And having my own contemplations, it started revealing to me things that had been untapped, had been untouched and uncovered within myself that I hadn't really dived deep enough to learn. And through these exercises, I started to learn more about myself and have a newfound love for who I am, just becoming my own friend again.
Wow.
And along the way, I heard a conversation where I was with one of the nuns at the center, and she talked about their chief monk, Sayadaw, and who was at the time in a liquidarian lifestyle that I had never heard of before. But it spoke to me in a way that I was like, huh, really? You know? And so they told me that he had been living on liquid and had not consumed any solid food for over 2 years at that point.
Wow.
And I was scratching my head, like, what do you mean? You know, because my mind was already, you know, puzzled. It was already trying to compute, what does this mean? Liquidarian, breatharian, what are these words? I don't understand this. And being raised in an environment and a society where we have certain beliefs, certain limitations, restrictions, certain, I guess, unwritten rules that we've just established that people just take as reality. I kind of took that as my reality and I never questioned. I never questioned whether or not these things were true, even though I hadn't had my own experiences otherwise. So this led me to the path to do my own research and to find out for myself what this could be and what this could mean for me. And in the beginning, I only wanted to do 1 month. You know, I started finding people like Ray Mayor, Jazz Muheen, Elitom El-Amin, and Rocky Chari and all sorts of people on the path who were wonderfully, you know, giving of themselves and sharing of themselves and, you know, just establishing this community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I admired these people. And I thought to myself, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it too. That's been a long reoccurring thing for me, Arik. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody else has done it, that means I can do it.
Right.
And I've also thought of it in reverse. If I can do it, I know you can do it, you know? It's never occurred to me that there's something that I cannot do if someone else has done it, you know?
Right.
And if
Right.
I want to do it, if it speaks to me, if it's a calling. So this was a deep calling for me to challenge myself in doing something I'd never done before, to experience something I'd never felt. And it was like challenge accepted. And what actually lit even more of a fire within me was the moment that I said, I'm going to do this for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
There were those around me who were like, no. That's too long. No, don't hurt yourself. You're crazy. Don't do that. And this made me want to do it even more, you know?
Wow.
Because whenever somebody tells me I cannot do something, there's some program within me that's like, oh, really? You know, it's just something within me like, okay, bet, you know, we'll find out.
Yeah. Okay.
And I guess a couple of those quotes you might have heard, you know, Nelson Mandela, it's only impossible until it's done.
Yeah.
And I also love Helen Keller's, while they were saying amongst themselves, it cannot be done, it was done, you know? Mm-hmm. So I have like infused within my makeup, within my matrix, within my DNA, these quotations from these great and powerful people who have done things that other people thought were impossible. And we know that the very word impossible says, I'm possible. So I took that and I said, you know what, let's go, let's have at it. The first 2 weeks on liquid, you know, I was on juice and tea, and things started coming out of my body that I had not seen. And I was amazed at my body's capacity for storage. You know, I'm not the heaviest person, but I've eaten a lot. You know, I used to eat just so much, food for a family, so to speak. I would eat that much. And I wasn't consuming things that, I was not living a vegetarian or a vegan lifestyle at all, by any means. Not even fruitarian. Like I was very, very much carnivorous, you know, but I was branching off into more lighter foods, into more lighter things. And I had confirmations from other people asking me, you know, certain times they'd be like, are you vegetarian? Are you vegetarian? You just have this peaceful energy about you. What is it that you do? Do you meditate? Like, what are you doing? You know, they had all these questions about me. And so I was at that mind state where I knew that what I had done up until that point was not working. And I desired such a deep and profound change in my life that I was willing to hop all the way from eating animal flesh to living on liquid.
Wow.
And I skipped all the steps, you know, for that time period. And after 1 month, I felt so good, so enriched, so much energy that I went another 2 months. It was just, I was afraid. I can say this, admittedly, I can say I was afraid to go back to eating solids because I had never felt like that before. Wow. Had never had that much energy without any stimulant, without any caffeine, without anything externally. You know, It was just me, my own energy, my own body. Wow. You know, and it was like, what is this happening? Things started to open up. My olfactory senses. I started to smell things I'd never smelled before. And which juices did I take? So I took coconut water. I liked blueberry juice. I enjoyed what we had around the area when I was in Lake Elsinore, California. We had a grocery store that I would go and I would get juices like, you know, maybe like pineapple juice, carrot juice. But tea was something that I was big on at that time. And I was also juicing celery. So celery stalks, I was juicing celery juice. And I was really just cleansing my body, you know?
Jerome,
so,
in terms of the amounts of juices, of liquids that you consume during this time, how much was it?
yeah, I wasn't keeping track of the amount because, you know, my body was really adjusting to this lighter fluid and
Yeah.
just lighter intake. It wasn't as dense at all as what I was used to. So I wasn't really keeping track. But at a certain point, I started doing something that the monks did. The monks, they didn't eat after noon. So
Ah.
I would just, what I would do is I would have as much juice and tea as I wanted before noon. And
Okay.
then from noontime all the way till the next rising, I would be dry. I would just have
Wow.
nothing. And
Amazing.
then something happened to me after going a few days like that, maybe a week like that. My body made a switch. There was a switch that took place. And then it was as if my body just told me, like, we're good. We don't need anything. I woke up one day and it was like, I didn't have any cravings for anything, because for me, it's been less physical and more like emotional, mental. Those are the mind games, things playing with
Yeah,
me.
of course.
And those were the hardest things to overcome. And it's not like I've arrived somewhere. I'm still dealing with a lot of that stuff today, but it's different. So thank you for the question. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Jerome. So, and then from then on, how did you proceed?
So that December of 2019, I met one of my mentors, Elitom El-Amin. Being in his presence, listening to his seminar and his breatharian talk in Sherman Oaks, California, really affected me in a way that I was like, this is for me. I don't know why I've been called here, but this is something that I feel like I must do at this time. And I took the opportunity to do a breatharian retreat with him, used my credit card. I didn't even have the money to do it. I didn't even have it, but I was like, you know, this opportunity might never come again. So I charged it to the card, and lo and behold, he's been in India ever since then. He's been traveling the world ever since then. So I wouldn't have ever gotten that opportunity again like that if I hadn't just jumped, if I hadn't taken the leap. You know,
That's
Arik,
right.
they say take the leap and the net will appear, you know. But it's like usually that safety net or whatever we're looking for, we don't see it until we jump, until we leap. Then something catches us, you know, to reward us for that faith. If you move forward through the fog of fear, you find freedom on the other side, you know. So that's what I found when I was in this retreat. After doing that, you know, thing up until noon, drinking, and then after noon, nothing, I got to the point where I said, I don't feel like having anything right now. Let me see how long I can go. And then one day passed, the second day passed, 3 days dry fasting. Then it was 5 days, and then it became no longer fasting. It was like I was finding something else. I was craving to be outside, be out in nature. I didn't want to be in these structures with these walls around me, with the air conditioning. I needed to be out there in the sunlight. And so that was like my nourishment. And things just became so euphoric, you know, just looking at the sun. I was sun gazing at the time. Looking at the sun was a euphoric experience. Breathing around trees was just an experience. Everything was just like, oh, yes. And then I went into the retreat, spent 8 days with Elitom, and it was 9 other people. We were all in a room together, sleeping bags just kind of next to each other. And I came in dry and I came out dry. And what happened when I came out changed my life forever. Forever. You know, and it didn't matter if I went back to eating or if I didn't. It didn't matter. Like Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. says, a mind that is stretched by a new idea can never return to its original dimensions. You know, there's no going back from whence you came when you are introduced to something, and you, more importantly, when you have the experience, when you have your own self-realization, there's no testimony that can shake you and shape you the way that what you go through yourself will do for you. So that is the most powerful, that I've seen. And so everything changed after that point.
Wow. That's mind blowing. So what changed actually? How would you define what has changed?
Yeah, so we actually did have a question that just popped up, so that segues into what has changed.
Yeah.
They asked me how long did I stay dry. This was about 2 weeks, 2 weeks at least. It was at least 2 weeks of me just walking, talking, breathing in downtown Los Angeles amongst people who I felt like I was the odd one out. I felt like a speck of pepper in the land of salt. You know, like I felt like, what is going on? Like, do these people don't know? Like, am I the only one who knows we don't need? Like, we don't have to eat? Like, what? It was blowing my mind. Because when going for so long without, you start to break everything. I mean, I broke so much what I thought I needed. You know, what is nutrition? What are these minerals? What are these vitamins? What is this B12? What are these omega-3s? Like, what are these things that we say we have to survive? What is this? If I don't eat for 5 days, I die. If I don't drink for 3 days, I die. Like, what is that? Because here I am, I'm alive, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm breathing, I'm enjoying life like never before. I'm walking miles and miles a day. I don't feel tired. I have more energy. I sleep less. Other people are sleeping when I'm awake. I'm awake when other people are sleeping. Like all this stuff, it was just occurring to me, like just blowing my mind completely. And I didn't know what to do with all the energy, you know?
Wow.
So I had to get very creative. And then there came a certain point when my family, they saw me speaking about this. And that's why now, you know, I still speak about it, but I'm careful about who I speak about it to. I don't talk about this around people who haven't asked me questions. I'm not preaching about this to people who aren't wanting to learn. I'm only looking for people who are already looking. So they say, you know, the best ability is availability. So I just make myself available for those who have questions, because I had to learn the hard way when my body hadn't yet acclimated to this new energy. When others' negative energy came in and they had judgments about me. Jerome, you're harming yourself. Jerome, what are you doing? Jerome, you've lost it. Jerome, your body looks like it's eating yourself. You look too thin, you're too frail, you're too skinny, you're too gaunt, you're too this, you're too that. When I'm over here feeling the best I've ever felt, ever, you know? So it was a very, very conflicting, contradicting, you know, opinions. And I wasn't ready for that energy. So that led me on a spiral, you know, a very big spiral. And it allowed me to learn even more lessons that I'm grateful for. At the time I was going through it, a lot of the guilt and shame frequencies of, I've entered this new vibration. My body is understanding, my mind and my body are one. We agree that this is where we're going. And then now I'm conflicted. Now I'm divided within. So I had to bring that back into balance, and it took work. It took a process to get there. But I think everything is a process in life, and it's about enjoying the journey. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, guys, do you have any questions for Jerome at this point before we move on? Okay, Jerome. So Revital is asking. So could you read it?
Okay, let's see. I see. Could you define the change you experienced? What exactly was the enlightenment and understanding? Yes, thank you for the question. So yeah, after coming from the Pranic retreat with Elitom, and you got to understand, you know, I'm hanging around this individual. All we're doing every single day is in the rising, we're doing Qigong, we're working with the energy. And that's one of the energy practices that I've remained quite consistent with today is Qigong and Tai Chi. So we're working with the energy in the rising. Then we're exercising, we're walking. Then in the evening, we were having a breatharian talk, and then we were meditating at night. And we did that for the full 8 days. And for all those days that we were together, I never saw this man eat anything, drink anything, hardly ever. I never saw him sweat, perspire, or use the restroom or go anywhere to do, like, it was just completely himself. So when I experienced this, it was like I got to a point in the process where I could run my hand through the air and feel the moisture in the air, because you get hypersensitive, your sensitivity heightens. And kind of when I was younger, it was like people were afraid to be sensitive. Being sensitive was something people look down upon, like, why are you so sensitive? Why you always have to be so sensitive? Like, you know, and just dealing with your emotions and the things that were inside you. So these things started to come out of me. Things that I thought were gone were actually just hidden. They were just locked away in my body, which I guess you could call it your subconscious. You know, it's below the level of your conscious awareness. And so those things started to come up, and I had to address that. I found newfound love for my body. I started speaking to my body and talking to it like it was a person. Like, I'm talking to my body. I'm walking down the street like, oh, I love you, body. I'm so sorry. Like, all those years you had my back, you know, thank you, body. You know, thank you, body. And I'm crying. I'm shedding real tears for my body, you know? And so that was something that I never had that kind of relationship with myself, you know, to feel like my body had its own intelligence, that it knew what to do, and that usually I was just getting in the way of a natural process all this time, just putting things in my mouth, you know, just putting things in my body, and then questioning myself, why do I feel this way? Never making the connection between my emotions and what I was consuming. So yes, more connection with myself, and also more connection with the environment around me, and just feeling it on a whole new level, actually feeling the sun, feeling the nourishment from nature for the first time. It felt like I was feeling these things for the first time in my life. After 28 years, never had that kind of connection. So yeah.
Wow. Amazing. So inspiring. Okay, and then we have another question. Did he do enemas? Did you do enemas at some point?
Later on, I did enemas. I did partake later on when I was doing other cleanses, like parasite cleanses, juice cleanses and stuff. I did enemas, but the only enemas that I've ever done have been aged orange enemas. So I've used my own water to do the enemas with. So I've never done any coffee enemas or enemas with anything else other than my own water. And that's been pretty powerful. So I don't do them right now. But when I did them, they were quick, very quick. Yeah.
Cool.
And they did the trick.
Cool. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions at this point? You can just unmute yourself and ask. Okay.
Hello, Jerome. Hi.
Hi there.
No camera. I'm sorry. I'm on the street walking to the park, but I'm curious of what you're doing now. What are your liquid intake, and what kind, and how much, and when? I'm so nosy. This is Aranka.
Did you? And what was the last part, Aranka?
What is the time intervals? Like, do you do a nice little cascade, or do you do a rhythm, like 2 days on, 2 days off, or something like that? Like, I'm trying to do 4 days dry and 3 days wet, or even eating.
Wow,
And
that's wonderful.
It doesn't work all the time, but most of the time it does really nicely. So, but I'm curious about yours.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, right? You know, we play with it. We find new things that work. We discard what doesn't work. We find what does work, and we discover these things. So yeah, for me, it's just still a journey of discovery of like what I like, what I don't like, what works for me, what doesn't work. And currently I enjoy coconut water. I still enjoy juice. And, you know, the intervals during the day, I'm not like clocking it or anything. I'm not keeping track of when. It's just, I go with the feeling, you know? And
Right.
with feeling as well, I go with the taste, something that I enjoy drinking. So I'm less about what is nutritious or healthy and more about what I enjoy, you know?
Right. How about,
Yeah.
are you concerned in any sugar content? Like lately my pet peeve is low sugar. So I'm doing green stuff. Do you care about any of that? It's not nutrition. It's just about the sugar level in the blood. Does it make you feel good? Not good?
It's really not a concern, to be honest. Sugar has never been a concern for me. I've never had the biggest issue with sugar. My issue has been with spice and salt. So spice and salt has been like very it's lingered. You know, those sensations have been the one that have gotten. So the condensed soups, like the tomato soups, the tom kha, the broth, and those things. But I found that when I've consumed those things, my body is like my accountability partner. You know, it shows me. It shows me. No one else has to show me. Like I see the inflammation, boof. You know, parts of my body just start to swell up, and then I have pains in certain areas, and certain things happen to me. But when I go without that, it's clearly the inflammation goes down, the edema goes down, everything goes down, and everything returns to like a homeostasis. So
that's so nice. I've been putting dal flakes into my drink, so I wonder if I should stop that. It just, the saltiness is so desired, right? It's a craving.
It's a big one. It's a big one. Yeah.
Right. But as Satmarga was saying the other day, how the less tasty it is, the more success we have.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that. The less tasty, huh?
Yeah. He says, go for the bland stuff like cabbage and carrots a little bit to make it palatable. Anyway, thank you very much for sharing about the taste, because that is my last one. I'm not addicted to food anymore. I don't have cravings for food anymore. I just want taste. So whatever gives me taste, if I could just lick something and get a taste, that would be good. I have to figure that one out.
You know what's very interesting, Aranka? I love how you talk about taste, and you talk about, you know, that sensation that we're wanting, or that pleasure that we're looking for. There was a time when it felt like I was tasting through my nose. Like I was going different places and I was just smelling things. There was a time when I was just going into a grocery store and I could go in, walk the aisles and just smelling, and then I would leave and I didn't have to buy anything. And I was so full, so fat, so satisfied, so satiated. Like all the cells in my body were just like, yes, we're good. And that was a surreal experience, because I thought that to have that sensation of taste, or to have that sensation of fullness, that I needed to put something in, that something needed to go in material for me to have that same feeling. And so that was very, go ahead.
Oh, in the Chinese, I would go into a Chinese takeout place and just stand around just to smell, because I used to be addicted to Chinese food about 20 years ago. Oh, more like 25. And I would just smell for a little while, and then, I change my mind and I go out. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
So,
and how did that feel for you when you did that?
It filled the bill. Like it fit the bill. So I was okay for days. Okay. I don't need the taste. And then, but I'm still on water mostly. That means that I have a sip here and there. It's almost like a friend in my pocket. Or maybe it's just an oral fixation. I used to be a smoker for 10 years early on, like 40 years ago. So maybe that's just why I reach for distilled water. But I'm also have been closet orange drinker. I don't really advertise it, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, go with that feeling, you know, whatever you enjoy, that's going to be its own frequency. You know, it's something that like, you know, even if you're consuming something, if you have gratitude, if you have joy, if you have love for that thing, you change the chemistry, you change the molecular structure of that with that joy, with that energy. So it's very powerful what you're doing, Aranka.
Yeah, so is what you're doing. Are you still consuming a little bit of orange?
I am, yeah.
Oh,
I usually
wonderful.
do it nasally. I do it through the nose. So I drink through the nose often. Yeah.
Aren't you scared that you're gonna choke? That's my concern. I've never done it. I do neti pot, but I never dare to actually sniff it down because I'm scared of choking.
Yeah, you know, I love that you asked the question of fear. You know, aren't you afraid you're gonna choke? Aren't you, you know? And the only times that I usually would have those kinds of questions was when I had never done it, you know, myself.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I feel like, and this is for me as well, I feel like I always have less questions when I'm practicing something. When in the practice, like the practitioner practices and then they know for themselves, you know, so they don't wonder that, but that question of wonder, that question of what if, what,
I know.
that always comes up when I'm not doing that thing. So there's one way to find out, you know.
Okay, last question, Jerome. Sleep deprivation. How are
Oh
you
my
doing
gosh.
with? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm trying, but it's like a total fail. After 3 days, I'm on wastebasket. You can't talk to me, so I still keep pushing it though. Keep trying it. Don't give up.
Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah, sleep deprivation, that was a wonderful find, you know, being a part of this group with Arik and everyone else, and Frederick, you know, has been a blessing for me to discover and learn that there are all sorts of pranic people all around the world practicing things that are just, you know, very expanding, you know. And so yeah, watching you, Arik, that was one of my favorites. I've watched it so many times. When you translated Anastasia Zilevich, the interview with you and her, this is still one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Yeah. Jerome, so you're not consuming nowadays any solid food at all, or you do consume it every now and then?
So no solid food at the moment. And I feel like when it comes to my consumption, there are some days that are more than others. I really just feel it out. So at the moment, I haven't had anything today, but it's like there's a mantra I use: the more, the less, you know. The less I have, the less I need. But the more I have, the more I want, you know, the more I crave. So if I imagine there's a door, you know, if you can imagine a door, and on the door is written whatever food, whatever drink, whatever juice, you know, there's never been something that I've craved or had a wanting for that I hadn't yet experienced, you know? So once I open that door of experience, now these energetic cords have attached themselves to me and it's pulling at me. It's pulling at my mind. Now it's on my mind. So if it's not in my body, it's not on my mind.
Wow.
The longer I go without it, the longer I can be without it. But the moment I introduce it back into my system, now it has to integrate back into my body, and now it's on my mind again, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here goes those games again, running and seeing it now. But the longer I go without it, it just fades into the background.
Wow.
You know?
So inspiring. Yeah. So inspiring. Amazing. Thank you so much. Now we have another question from Sunita. Hi. Yeah, Sunita.
Hi, this is Sunita. Hi, Jerome.
Sunita. Yeah. So Sunita, just ask your question instead of me reading it. Yeah.
It's very inspiring, your story. I mean, I've never experienced something as deep as that. I've done a lot of yoga, pranayamas, and detoxes on different levels, gone to ashrams and stuff. But it's very inspiring to hear your story, where you've done the neti pot, and did you do a lot of sun gazing and yoga while you were practicing as well? Did you do Anulom Vilom and all that kind of thing? Is that part of your practice?
I don't know what is the last thing you mentioned, Sunita? Okay.
Anulom Vilom is a Sanskrit word. The English version is alternate nostril breathing.
Oh, okay, so like Nadi Shodhana.
Like Nadi Shodham. That's right.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, alternate. That was a big one actually. So I learned that from Rocky Chari. Rocky Chari, you might have seen her on YouTube as the Breatharian Yogini. If you type in Breatharian Yogini, you'll pull her up. She's amazing. One of my mentors still today, and she lets me know not to take things so seriously. Like life is too important to be taken seriously. She has her inner child awakened. So she taught me about, the alternate nostril breathing, balancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain, and all that, and that when it's balanced, that you can intake more prana. So she really taught me about that from watching her. And I was doing a fair amount of sun gazing in the beginning. I don't do it as religiously as I was doing it today, but I still do like box breathing, alternate nostril, and I play the flute often. So I'm deep breathing. That's really deep. And with the asanas, I like doing 3 asanas. I like doing the Sarvangasana. Yeah, with the feet in the air, the inversions. I enjoy the inversions. I enjoy Malasana, the squat. Being in that position, I can rest in that position.
Vajrasana. Vajrasana. Vajrasana.
Vajrasana. Okay.
That's
Thank you. Thank you for that. And then Kardi Padasana. Karda Padasana, something. One of those where your legs are folded all the way back.
Oh yeah, the halasana. Okay. Right.
You got it.
Wow.
Yeah, so those are ones that I enjoy. And it's very hard to do those on a full stomach. So it helps me to be empty when I'm doing those exercises.
Okay, wonderful. And do you, when you're doing the meditation, do you use a mantra or just empty mind? Do you use a particular mantra? Do you use Om? Is there anything that you use in particular to empty your mind?
I love mantras. I love this conversation. Sunita, thank you for this question. Yeah, lately that's been one of my favorite activities. Not only chanting out loud, but also chanting within me, intoning these chants inside and just letting that vibration permeate my body with that energy of the mantras. I enjoy the Saraswati mantra, the Lakshmi mantra, the Ganesh mantra. And lately I've been getting into, they've been teaching me about Jainism and teaching me about all sorts of different mantras that cultivate things within me. And I really feel it has an effect. It has an effect on my mental state, as well as, spiritually just anchoring me into something that I wasn't raised, in these fields. I was raised very Christian, going to church.
I'm a Christian too.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. Yeah.
It's a whole new world. I mean, I'm a Christian too, but I have a lot of Hindu friends and we practice every day, and they, so we inculcate cultures, and I'm learning I'm learning a lot every day. And recently it was Dasara. So I spent Dasara with them, and then there's Diwali coming up. So we do Diwali Rangoli, and it's beautiful. Just experiencing cultures is such a lovely delight. And we do a lot of the puja. I don't know. Have you heard of puja? I mean, do you know what's a puja? Where they do the fire.
There's one mantra I've done that has puja inside it. The puja tishayo, sampanayo, Sri.
Yeah. They do pujas where they pray. They actually do the puja, but they light the lamp and then they pray in front of it. So the puja is done. It's a big ceremony, and then they do rangoli. It's just lovely, It's and it's part and parcel of being in that oneness, being in that spirit of vibration. It even opens your chakras. I mean, have you experienced your chakras opening? Your energy centers, your meridians, your chakra?
I've had people say that certain centers are open, but for myself, I don't know that I can say, with accuracy that I could pinpoint, a certain opening like that. I don't know that I've had that experience yet, but I have had the experience of the Kundalini. I've had that experience in my body where I felt that electricity running up and down my spine. And it only happened once. It happened after a long meditation and some Qigong that I did. And it was all day long. Like a switch came out, like a light flicked on in my body. that was surreal. I had never felt that before. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That means
Mhm.
you've already been Kundalini awakened. That's lovely to hear. Thank you so much, Jerome. I really appreciate talking to you. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.
Cool.
Namaste. Wow,
One
love
more
the energy in here.
thing.
Love the energy, Arik.
Yeah, amazing. Me too. Me too. Jerome, and then we had in the group, we had a series of questions from Ritu. And
Okay.
this leads us to actually the announced subject of this webinar about happiness and how to stay happy on this lifestyle and on this path. So Ritu is asking, what is your definition of eternal happiness? How would you answer this question?
Wow, such a question. Eternal happiness. Um, that for me it feels like a loaded question because what I was learning while I was with the monks and nuns was impermanence and impermanence nature, and that vibration of eternal happiness. When I put those two words together, and I think of impermanence, that nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
And I found out that impermanence can be beautiful, that it won't always be up, but it won't always be down. That we won't always feel good, but we won't always feel bad. Like these things are impermanent, like they go through ebbs and flows. The tide comes in, the tide comes out, and there's a rhythm to this. So I feel like there's something I like. It says, instead of trying to calm the storm, calm yourself and the storm will pass. This too
Wow.
shall. And instead of trying to fix life or to fix things, you can fix yourself in such a way that no matter what happens, you'll be fine. So for me, when I think of happiness, I think loving, or I think doing what you love is freedom. But loving what you do is happiness. There's so many times in my life that I didn't do what I loved, and I didn't love what I did. And so I was always putting my happiness in the pursuit. We like to say that in the West, we're in the pursuit of happiness. Like happiness is something over there. And once I get there, then I'll be happy. I know it. I just have to keep going. And then, and so that didn't work for me. For so long, I was on that chase. I was chasing something that seemed to always be running from me.
Yeah.
But now I understand that peace is an inside job, just like happiness is something that comes from within. It can't be sustained by something externally. So that's the way that I think about it, and that's how I've chosen to live currently.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. And then Ritu Ritu continues. What steps or process do you take to achieve that? So to achieve happiness, basically.
Yeah. Ironically, when I let go of the need to achieve it, it comes. It arrives. Yeah.
Wow.
So I hope that doesn't sound.
No, it sounds perfect. Sounds like a perfect answer. Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, that was one of the steps that I took, was actually taking a step back.
Yeah.
Reevaluating what happiness meant to me, and realizing that it wasn't something that I needed to gain or attain. It was something that was always there. It was always waiting for me if I could be aware, so my level of awareness. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. And then the same person is asking, what are the reasons behind emotional overeating?
Oh,
and
my
how
goodness.
and how to overcome that?
What are the reasons? What are not the what are the not the reasons? There's so much behind the reasons why we consume. At the rate we consume, the things we consume, the ways we consume, the days we consume. Like, I had to understand that from birth, I had been bred to be a professional eater, a professional.
Wow.
We know how to eat. We know how to do it. We're very good at it. And often many people don't see that as an addiction or see that as anything that is clinging to them, that they're holding on to, because it's been with them all their lives. It's so natural. It comes so easy. I mean, it's like they say that luxuries once tasted become necessities, you know?
Yeah.
And so that had become the story of my life, that I came to believe that I needed these things because I had tasted them for so long. And so they became necessities for me, something that I would work for, I would toil for, I would stake my life on because I think that I need this, you know? So it can be wrapped up in so many things. We're surrounded by food. We're bombarded by food, social media, TV, advertisements, billboards. You see food everywhere you go. You see restaurants, companies. Eat, 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 consume, consume. You're not enough. You lack something. There's something within you that is not enough for you to fill that void. At least that was the case for me.
Yeah.
Then we have holidays, right? That celebrate food. We get together and we eat, right? We have Easter, the 4th of July, there's a cookout here. The New Year's, there's a cookout. You know, there's December, you have Christmas time. People are getting around each other on Thanksgiving, right? So big holidays surrounding food and the joy of eating together. You go out with your friends. What do you want to do? Hey, you want to go grab a bite? Hey, how about a cup of coffee? Hey, how about we go grab this? Go grab that. It's never like, let's go take a walk in the park. Let's enjoy the sun together. Let's enjoy this together. Let's dance together. You know, it's always something surrounding food. And I found that people are very uncomfortable when there's not something in front of them, you know? So that was something that I had to learn as well. I was not prepared for coming back into society after I had let this go, and the feeling of other people feeling like there was a disconnect, you know? Like, here's this person who doesn't need this, but I feel uncomfortable eating this around them because they're not eating, you know? So there's a lot of emotions. And sometimes I found myself feeling like, oh, do I need to do this just for this person to be happy? Or can I reside in my own emotions? Can I reside in myself and, you know, be able to be comfortable with them being uncomfortable, even if it. So with emotions, just to tie it back, that's a roller coaster. You know, you're not always going to feel the same every day. But when you can understand, where is this coming from? One of my friends, Victoria, she talks about indulging with awareness. So being aware while you're indulging, that can be something that can help you with those emotions.
Right.
Not having the guilt and shame frequencies of, I'm eating this, I've done a bad thing, or I am a bad person, or just not having those frequencies, but allowing yourself to have it, enjoying it in the moment, and then asking yourself those questions of, why do I need this? What's making me eat this right now? How am I feeling right now? Like, is there anything that I'm not noticing? Is there anything I'm not aware of? What makes me run to this every time I get triggered in this way? For me, it's celebratory. I have emotions. For some reason, they're wrapped around celebration. So there's a celebration of food. Whenever I've done something that I feel like, oh, wow, like I feel so good, I want to go and consume something. I don't know why that is. I'm looking within myself to find out why that is, where that started. But for me, that's what it is. For other people, when they're feeling low, they want to eat something to bring them back to a state. For me, it's when I'm feeling really high. That's when I feel like I want to eat. Yeah. So for everyone, it's different. For everybody, it's different. So yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions at this point?
Okay.
Okay, Jerome. So let's move on.
Wonderful. Awesome.
Yeah. So so tell me, what is the secret of happiness? If you could summarize it. I'm asking because many people are so stressed nowadays with all the external things that are going on in the world, and things like forced vaccinations and other things, these green passports, you cannot fly if you are not vaccinated, stuff like that. How do you, in this madhouse that is going on around us, how do you stay positive? How do you stay calm? How do you stay balanced? Please share, like, I would like to hear everything you know about that and everything you are practicing. So, to make the complete picture. And I'm sure that many, many other people will be interested in that as well.
Wow, thank you for this question, Arik. Really appreciate this. And I really enjoy the way it allows me to think about what these things mean for me. The first thought that popped into my head when you said that was, lessons in Taoism. Reading this book, The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, has been transformational for me to understand different things and old things in new ways. So it has a passage in the Tao that speaks of the more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. The more he does for others, the happier he is. Something to that effect. Like when you feel low and you lift someone else, you too are lifted. There's two people that get lifted.
Right.
And so I asked myself, how can I be of service? What is something that I can do to encourage someone or to uplift or, help the state of another person?
Yeah.
And it's always coming back to me. It always comes back,
Yeah.
So I don't do it because of that reason, but because I do it, that reason gets satisfied. It becomes as a result, like a natural result. And I'm sure you understand this completely because you do so much for so many people, facilitating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has great power when you help others, when you start helping others. Yeah. Right. Jerome, so in which ways do you uplift other people? Is it like through conversations or through your videos? What are your channels of helping others?
Yeah. One of the ways that I do this, Arik, is actually what you're doing right now, and you're doing this right now. You do this so effortlessly. And it's one of the things that I admire about you. You're a great listener.
Thank you.
You know how to listen. And when you feel like you've been heard, when you feel like you've been listened to, it feels good. They say people will forget what you did. They might forget what you said, but they never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And when you allow somebody to speak their truth, to raise their voice, to feel heard, to feel like they can speak something and not be judged.
Right.
That's one of the best things you can give somebody is your presence.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jerome, I've heard stories about Dalai Lama when every time he visited or he visits different, every time he talks to regular people, like cleaners and cooks and stuff like that. After these conversations with him, they feel that it is the most transformational experience of their lives. Why? Because he actually listened to them. He did not judge them. He was fully present there with them. And those people said, wow, that was the most amazing experience of my life, even though they just talked to him, for 1 or 2 minutes. That is the power of presence, the power of listening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Amazing. So thank you for giving your presence. Thank you for always being present with us.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions for Jerome? Then I'll read another question that I also forwarded to you today from Poggy, or maybe it's already been answered. Let's see. So she's asking, hi, Jerome. I have a question. What does your day-to-day routine / consumption look like now? So you pretty much you pretty much touched on the subject of consumption, but your day-to-day routine, how does it look like?
Yeah, I'm very, very relaxed now. Now that all my businesses are online,
Mhm.
everything that I have that brings income is all online. And I wanted it to be that way so that I could travel. One
Mm.
of my affirmations that I wrote down had been that I wanted to inspire people in different countries around the world. I wanted to travel and go to different places. And I've been doing that. So I do
Mhm.
live a very light, nomadic lifestyle where you could say it's minimalistic. All my clothes are in one suitcase. It's a carry-on,
Wow. Mhm.
and I can just take it wherever I go. And if I'm called somewhere, then I can be there. And so I enjoy that. So my daily routine consists of meditation, chanting, qigong, and it's free flowing. It's never regimented like at this specific time I do this and at that. But I'm not structured in that way, but I just
Mhm.
kind of flow with it. And there's certain things that at the end of the day, I I guess if there's one thing that pretty much every day I will make sure to do pretty much is the podcast. And that's giving. That's my mode of service to other people.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
the podcast, we've been doing that since 2018. And I've been doing pretty much an episode a day for some years now. For some years now, yeah. So
Wow.
that has been like my yoga,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
give something of myself, or to say a positive message for people every day if I can. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just interested because I also have a YouTube channel. How do you find the subjects of your daily, like if you're doing it on a daily basis, do you plan it ahead of time or you are just going with the flow and do it spontaneously? How does it work for you?
Yeah, it's usually in the moment. Um, I'm privileged to be in the company of so many wonderful, insightful individuals like on Instagram and in groups like this where we
Uh-huh.
can come together sharing
Yeah.
stories. I feel like stories are things that move people, you know.
Ah,
They
right,
move
right.
people in a way that facts and statistics don't move people the way stories move people,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
you can remember you might not remember um you know, like if I said something like if I said I want you to remember this porridge is cold and this porridge is hot and this porridge is warm. This is just right. A year from now, you might not remember that, but if you remember the story of Goldilocks, then you remember it, you know,
Yeah,
then it comes back
absolutely.
because the stories, right? So that's one of the ways that I enjoy giving content is finding stories that can touch people's lives. And some of
Mm,
the best stories come from people's actual experiences. So things that people actually tell me, I'll be able to pass that on, to pay it forward to someone else who needs to hear it.
yeah.
And you never know who that might be. You can
Mm.
never know who will need to hear that message when you tell it. So it's always a good time to share.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jerome, and I also wanted to ask you about your sleep patterns. Have you noticed any kind of sleep reduction or change in your sleep patterns since you became pranic or since you were on your pranic journey?
Mhm. Yeah, the sleeping patterns, they vary and they change based on my rate of consumption, or the
Ah,
things that I'm consuming. If I'm consuming a lot of liquid, I had no idea how much energy the body takes to digest.
that's right.
To digest things, it diverts so much energy to break down and digest and assimilate all the things that we put in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And when like when I'm in the states where I'm more dry or just going on prana days, or what we might call them like freedom days, whatever you want to call them,
Right.
then I see that sleep naturally drops off. Naturally. It's not
Mm,
a forcing of anything, it just drops off because I have more energy. And so now that gives me the opportunity to transmute that energy that I get into
mhm.
creative pursuits, into anything that I'm doing. But I find that whenever I'm bored, or whenever I'm feeling like, or if I'm feeling a sense of lack, and then I go
Yes.
and consume more juice or more water or more anything based on that, then I usually go to sleep. I'll
Mm,
usually take a nap or something, because I put something in my body. It won't be like because I'm tired or because I'm sleeping. It'll be
Yeah.
because my body is integrating that, and it needs the energy, and it's
Wow.
So
Wonderful. Amazing. Very interesting. Guys, do you have any more questions? Because I do have a few questions. So, but first, maybe someone else wants to ask questions. You can just unmute yourself.
And by the way, thank you. Thank you for everyone who's been asking questions and who's been listening. Just
Absolutely.
really appreciate your presence here. Thank you.
Yeah, we have an amazing audience. Absolutely amazing. Okay, Jerome, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned working with affirmations. So I just wanted to ask your advice on how to work with affirmations, how to make them work for you, to reprogram your mind. And what do you think about the law of attraction? If you have noticed if it really works, if there is such a thing.
Yes, I've seen it evident in my life and in the lives of others as well, to the point where I know that it's, to me, it's like the law of gravity. It works whether you want it or not. We're always attracting. It's not like learning how to use it's like the law of attraction is never not in action.
Okay.
It's and then the word action is in the word attraction.
Absolutely.
So in order to attract, we must take action.
Yeah.
There's something that you must do. So affirmations can be spoken, they can be written. There's an energy transference through your body to the pen and the paper when you write affirmations. I prefer writing them down over typing them or texting them. I find that physically writing something down has so much power. It's very it can be very tremendous, and you can see these things happen. But I like the set it and forget it approach. You set it, you set the intention, you write the affirmation, and then you let it go. You let it go as if it never happened, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. If this affirmation that you have just written down never happens, that you'll be fine. You'll be content, that you'll still be okay. And when you let it go with that kind of confidence, with that kind of faith, and you just, you put out that energy and you leave it, you'd be surprised what starts to pop up in your life when you let things go. It's almost in the act of letting go, you are letting in, but whenever you're holding on to something, it's like holding you back in a way, like the energy of neediness, of I gotta have it, like I must manifest this, I want this so bad, that desire, that burning desire, a lot of times that can push things away from you. If you think about seduction, and maybe there's like a lover that you want to seduce, or you're trying to attract someone, when you're trying to attract someone and you're needy, you're clingy, you want them, you're all about them, you're all around them, you can't let them breathe, you can't let them go, they run away from you, they don't want to be around that energy, but when you allow them to be, when you let them, you set them free, you say to yourself, I'm okay with or without this person, I'm fine. Sometimes they come around, so
exactly.
it's interesting. It's interesting, but that's how I kind of see it.
Amazing. And how do you phrase the affirmations? Do you phrase it like, I am, for example, let's say someone finds themselves indulged in emotional eatings, and then they want to use this technique of affirmations in order to help themselves. So how should they phrase it? Like, I am like, okay, so just tell us.
So I am is powerful. I found that to be the most powerful. When you say I am is like an acronym for intention, action, manifestation, right? And whatever you affirm in your inner reality, you will soon see confirmed in your outer reality. So affirmation leads to confirmation. Like so many times I've seen these things happen. Focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want, because I feel like, the universe, your subconscious, it's like a genie in the lamp. You know,
Yeah.
it only says yes. It never says no. It never denies you of anything. It's always giving you everything you desire. Everything you want is coming off of your body. I think like thought vibrations are actually physical things. Like we just can't see them on the visible light spectrum. But whenever we're
Yeah.
thinking, we're rippling out into the cosmos. These things are coming off of our body and they're reverberating and they're like a boomerang. It's sending the energy is coming right back to you.
Yeah.
So when you're putting out the energy of, I don't want this, I don't want that, the body doesn't know the difference. It just says, okay, well, that's what you're focused on. So that's what you'll bring more of in. So whatever you focus on the longest grows the strongest. Whatever you focus on, it tends to expand. So spend all of your energy or use your energy to focus on the things that you want instead of putting that energy into focusing on what you don't want. And I am is very powerful for that reason, because you're not saying I will or I want, you're saying I am. And the body doesn't know the difference between reality and what you tell it. Your mentality
Absolutely.
becomes your reality. So if you say that I am, your body says, I guess you are. You are, you know?
Yeah.
So there you are. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerome. So just to illustrate this point, so so let's say we have this guy who has this emotional eating and overeating problems, and then they want to use these affirmations for that. So what kind of affirmation would you suggest just to illustrate the point?
I am at my, you can say like, my health is in perfect condition, right? My
Okay.
health is in perfect condition. I am at my ideal weight. Now I am receiving, all the things that I want now. Like I am in line with my highest alignment. I am giving birth to wonderful creations. I am lively. I am loving. I am spirited. I am giving, like all the qualities that you see yourself to be, speak of them in the present moment as if they already are. And you'll start to see your reality shape around the way that you see it. It's the saying, like, it's not what we look at that matters. It's what we see,
Yeah.
And so that makes the difference when perception becomes reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, do you have any more questions? Okay, Jerome, I also wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you have read lots of books on your path and you have learned from many people, different podcasts, YouTube videos. So could you please share with us, because we have people who are not, who are looking for different resources to learn more. So what helped you on your path in terms of those materials?
One of the books was The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I've read that, I've read that and reread that quite a few times. And I love the way, Arik, I love how you can read a book at one point in your life, and you can come back and you can read that same book in another part of your life, and you see it differently.
Yeah.
And it's not the book has changed, you have changed.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Right.
I've had this experience a lot. Yeah.
What book have you had that experience with?
Let's say no, what comes to my mind, there is a book that is called In Search of the Miraculous by P.D. Uspensky about teachings of Gurdjieff. I don't know if you are familiar with that.
No.
Gurdjieff was a Russian mystic who had lots of pupils in Russia and in France in the beginning of the 20th century, in the middle of the 20th century. So there is a book about him by one of his pupils, but also in even some other books, different kind of Buddhist orientation books, meditation orientation books, and spiritual books mostly, So yeah, absolutely. So then you can actually see how much you changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. In Search of the Miraculous. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. In Search of the Miraculous, and it was written by P.D. Uspensky. It's like Peter Uspensky. Yeah, this guy himself was a very great spiritual seeker and mystic, and Yeah, and it's
Really?
it has lots of wisdom in that. Yeah.
Nice,
Jerome,
nice. Yeah, yes.
hi, it's Anita. Have you read the book by Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind?
I have that was one of the book that I touched. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've
Okay.
skimmed through that book. Yeah. It's a great one.
Oh, wow. Do you believe that the subconscious mind really can be tapped into and can perform miraculous things beyond what most conscious people can even think of in the alpha state?
Not only do I believe it, I found it to be my experience, that the subconscious mind, it always wins. It has no law, it never loses. It's like, certain things that we do and that we're not even aware of. Like during this conversation, Sunita, have you been aware of the blood that is being pumped into your left big toe? Have
I
you been
wasn't
aware of
aware.
that?
No,
Right.
I
Like
wasn't aware, but now I'm aware.
now you're aware. Yeah, your conscious mind now it's aware. But before you weren't aware, but it was still happening, it was still occurring within your body. That was still happening. That process was still taking place, but you weren't aware. And thank goodness that we don't have to be aware of all these processes that the body does without our conscious awareness, and that the subconscious mind can govern that, can take that over and be responsible for the things that we're not consciously responsible for, or
Like
that
a
we don't.
heart, like
Mhm.
our heartbeat. Otherwise, we would forget for a heart to beat.
Right? Can you imagine? Oh, wait a minute! I forgot. I gotta beat my heart real quick. Like it would be what would you get done? What could you get done if you had to worry about and really, if you were ruled by all these things that go on beneath our awareness? So they say like the conscious mind can take in, like 40 bits at a time, or however many bits of information, but the subconscious mind, it's like millions of bits of information at a time. So you're listening to everything. You're not just hearing my voice, you're hearing the tonality, the pitch, you're listening, you're feeling the energy, you're seeing the clothing, you're seeing the color, you're seeing the hair, like everything, you're absorbing everything, and
Yeah.
all of those things are just coming into you like a sponge. We take that in. That's why they say, like, for the first 7 years of our life, we're like a sponge. We just absorb everything. And then after that point, the mind understands its language is repetition, whatever you repeat over and over again. So it's like repetition is the mother of skill. It's the consistency is the DNA of mastery. And when you understand about your subconscious mind, then you can go from just being at the effect level to kind of operating at the cause level, understanding that the root changes the fruit, that there would be no fruit without that root. And that root is something below. It's in the dark. It's something below. It's what we don't see that makes room for everything that we see above. Yeah.
Wow. Did you watch the movie The Celestine Prophecy?
Yes, and I read the book, James Redfield.
Yes, yes. So you believe in synchronicity and all that?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm having, we're having it right now.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so cool. That is so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jerome. By the way, I remembered another example of what like when I listened to certain materials, and then I listened to those same materials after some time. There was different perspective. It happened to me while listening to. Do you know Goenka Vipassana? Do you like Vipassana teacher Goenka?
Is this the one where it's like silent retreats and things like this?
Yeah, it's the guy who organized silent retreats, silent 10-day retreats all over the world. So, and
Okay.
he gave discourses about the basics of this Vipassana meditation, and it is freely available even on YouTube. So I listened to them once, and it was certain perception. And a few months later, after practicing the technique, I came back to that, and the perception was different. So I could hear different things that I wasn't aware of the first time. Yeah, so I just it just came to my mind after you spoke about that.
Right. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned Tao Te Ching, and
Mhm.
what about the books related directly to the pranic path? Like what kind
Yes.
of books would you
Okay.
suggest?
So the pranic path, the when I was on this path, when I started this path, the books that really helped me
Yeah,
were Jazz Muhin's Food of the Gods. So Food of the Gods by Jazz Muhin,
yeah,
Ray Mayor's book, A Year Without Food,
yeah,
Ray Mayor.
yeah. Which is available freely online. Like
Right.
I think Raymore put it online just for everyone to read. You don't need to pay anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Elitom El-Amin, Human Photosynthesis 101, and also It's Okay to Be Healthy, and his Breatharian Nuggets book. That really helped me. That was funny. I loved reading through that.
Oh,
And it was
really?
just,
So he has a book that is called Breatharian Nuggets.
yeah, yeah,
Really? I
Breatharian.
haven't heard about that. Is it a new one?
No, it's an old one, but it's just like, he was posting so much on Facebook and social
Yeah,
media that he
yeah.
basically just had somebody take all of his posts and put them into a book, like all of his insightful posts of traveling and being in the pranic lifestyle. And
Wow.
he called the book Breatharian Nuggets. So I think it's
Wow.
available on Kindle, and you can find it on Kindle as well. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
what was the other? Oh, and the other one, this one really reshaped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this was when I was going long periods of just being in the dry state.
Yeah.
Hilton Hotema's Man's Higher Consciousness.
Mm.
Hilton Hotema, Man's Higher Consciousness. That book, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
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 That's all.
I purchased this book. I have it on Kindle, but I haven't got to it yet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's,
What is the main idea there, if you could share? Like, or what impacted you from that particular book?
yeah. Well, if you're of the mind, if you've had a lot of education around nutrition, or if you have a lot of beliefs surrounding what you think that we need,
Uh-huh.
it can be very challenging for that type of person, for that type of individual who believes that they
Mm-hmm.
cannot be sustained by other forces. The
Yeah.
Man's Higher Consciousness book will be very challenging for you. And for me, it was enlightening because I was ready for it. I was ready for that information. And I think that's why it came to me. I feel like I attracted that because I needed that, in that moment. And it made me thankful that I didn't have a lot of education surrounding this topic, this subject,
Ah, okay.
because it 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 was more about unlearning. That book is about unlearning. It's less about learning and more
Mm-hmm.
about deprogramming to reprogram, unlearning to relearn in new
Okay.
ways. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
Jerome, and I'm just curious. It's pretty much my last question, and then we are going to talk about a little bit about your services that you provide to the people. So, so why do you think there are people who actually die from hunger, or people who die from thirst? Is it just the mind state, or there is something beyond that, like according to your point of view?
That's a great question, Arik. And I think that's going to be one of the philosophical debates over time, like over the years, people are still going to have this question.
Mm-hmm.
To me, when I read that book, Man's Higher Consciousness, it
Uh-huh.
revealed to me that we go through levels of stimulation,
Yeah.
and that the body is very stimulated when not just like the dopamine levels, but all these things that we become adjusted to, like we've been talking about throughout this
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Okay.
And when I understood that food was like as addictive as a drug, even more so because I couldn't see my life without it,
Uh-huh.
I understood that if I was going to let that go for a time, my body, it was going through withdrawals, so to speak. You go through it was going through sensations without that stimulation,
Uh-huh. Right.
and
Right.
so that let me know that I was really hooked on this,
Mm.
because if you want to know if something is addictive or not, go without it for a time.
Yeah.
You know, be without it for a time, and it will reveal to you how hooked or how much you felt like you needed that in your life. You know, because it'll start to be very uncomfortable. And when you think of like a heroin addict, and you think about the way that they have to be weaned off of the substance, if they just go cold turkey without, you know, without heroin, or if they've been adjusted to a level of stimulation, their body reacts in violent ways. You know, their body, it reacts.
Absolutely.
So when you think of being strung out on something as natural to people as eating, as food, as something that you feel like you can't live without,
Yes.
it can be very dramatic. So people, also the idea, one of my mentors, Elitom, he talks about, he says jokingly, but he says one of the greatest assassinations in history was the idea that if you don't eat, you die. The idea. Think about it. How do you kill an idea? And when you think about the subconscious mind and whatever you believe, you will receive.
Right.
If you believe deeply within you, if you have that belief that if I don't have this, this happens. You know,
Yeah.
if I don't eat, I'll die. You know, if you strongly believe that, the body receives that. Every cell in your body is listening all the time. You know, they're listening to your innermost thoughts, your innermost feelings. It's like they're under your government. The government is like a mind control. Government. Your cells are under your mind control. You control them. So if they have been conditioned and they have the memo that in order to do this, we must have this, then that is what you continually receive. But if you have a different memo, it only takes a certain amount of time, but the cells in your body, they can adjust to a new message, a new truth. You can create something totally new for your life. And it doesn't have to be anybody else's truth. It can be your own. And that will be the experience that you receive, because that's what you truly believe and truly know within your innermost being. So the reason why I think people starve, you know, Wiley Brooks was someone who was asked this question back in like the 70s, you know, they asked him this, and he said his answer was they starved or they died because they wanted to. And I think that people took that the wrong way, but I think what he meant to say was that they didn't know otherwise, you know? So that's what occurred. That's what happened, because they knew no different. If you don't know that a program exists, you can't download it, you know? But once your software has been upgraded, or once your hardware has been upgraded in your body, then it's like now you take in new software. It's like you can't fit a floppy disk into a CD-ROM.
Exactly.
You know, it won't take the floppy disk. It's been upgraded now. It has more information. It can compute differently. So you can't stick it back in that container. So when a person doesn't know that they have an ability, it's very difficult for them to achieve that. So really the hardest part, to sum this up, was not actually doing the thing. It was to believe that I could do it. The belief in doing the thing is harder than actually doing the thing. Doing the thing is easy. Believing that you can is hard. That's tough.
Okay. Amazing. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions before we wrap it up? Ravital has a question.
It's not.
All right.
Hi, Jerome. First of all, I want to say that you're very inspiring. You know, you're fascinating. I was fascinated with all this wisdom and insight. And I was just wondering, how come all these simple truths are lost? Like people don't know all these simple things, like the fact that all about prana, on the contrary, that they program us, they condition us from birth. I mean, why is it all lost? All this wisdom, all this, I mean, and everything is so perverse, the way we're raised, like we are poisoned from birth, like also physically, all the food, like I mean, parents force their children because it wasn't tasty. I remember that I was forced to eat. I hear it from other people, like because it's healthy, and actually and they're teaching you, and they are getting you addicted, and it's sort of legitimate to be addicted. I mean, because it's healthy, because you're supposed to eat all these proteins, and you know, you start wondering, why is everything so twisted? Why is everything? And you know, we understand one another, just like you said, it's like a family in this meeting every Saturday night. A Friday night is special, but you know, when you speak to other people, there's something wrong with you. You're the one who's why is everything upside down? Why? You know, it's just, I was just wondering, I don't even know how to phrase it, like, but you understand what I'm saying. Why is it that only a few of us are aware of all these beautiful and wonderful things and natural and truths, basic truths? Why is everything, you know, you understand what I'm saying? So what are your thoughts on it?
And thank you for the question. And it's Revital, how do you pronounce?
Yes, Revital, yes.
Beautiful. Where does that come from?
It's in Hebrew. It means, what does that mean? Be saturated with dew. That's what it means, something like that.
Be saturated with dew.
Dew, yeah.
Dew, like the morning dew, or like honey dew, like dew?
Yes, yes.
Be saturated. I love that. Revital. Thank you. Thank you.
And in English, it sounds like revitalize, which is also good. Revitalize.
Yes, yes, revitalized. You know, there's a saying that the knowledge never left, that the people left the knowledge, you know? And I feel like there are certain places and certain spaces that if you allow yourself to enter, you will feel a different vibration in these different places and around different people. Because now that I've allowed myself to think differently, I have attracted other people who think differently. But when I was thinking the same as I was thinking, and just kind of interacting with those same people, those same individuals, I saw the world on that level, on that spectrum. You know, I asked myself those same questions, like, why, like, why don't we think this way? Like, why do we think this way? Why are we taught this way? Why are things structured like this? And could there be another way? Could there be, you know? And so asking the right questions, you get the right answers in life. And I feel like depending on where you are, you're going to be seeing things from different angles, sort of like meditation. Meditation allowed me to be okay with the way things are, to reside in a space where I wasn't worried about the state of the world. I just felt like this overwhelming peace within me, just like all is well. Out of this situation, only good can come. I am safe. You know, it's allowed me to travel when other people are indoors and, you know, and mask up and be safe and be safe. You don't know what may happen out there. I'm like traveling and I'm going from place to place, not worrying, because I just have this feeling like all is taken care of. Everything is fine. Like it's all going to work out. And because I have that feeling and that thought that is revitalizing me, that is saturating me with this thought, that's what I see, you know? So it's almost as if there are layers of dimensions that are like on top of each other. When I was indulging in like more carnivorous lifestyles, that's what I saw around me. I didn't see any vegetarian restaurants. I didn't see any vegan restaurants. I didn't even see any juiceterias or like juiceries, you know, pressed juiceries, until I started going into that wavelength. And so when I introduced that type of energy, when I got lighter and lighter and lighter, I started to see things that I never saw before. And they were right there. They were always there, but I passed by them because that wasn't of my resonance. Like I wasn't in harmony with that. So I feel like the world changes when you see it with new eyes. When your perception changes, that's when the world changes and you start to see things that you didn't know were different. Were always there, but they were always there, but you were not aware. That's been my experience. So I no longer see the world as this place where it's like everybody is, nobody is like, I'm seeing new people every single day come to me and talk about, hey, I just took my first sip of my own water. It changed my life. Thank you so much for speaking that message. I'm around my family members. They don't understand what I do, but thank you for speaking your truth. It really encourages me to keep going. Wow, Jerome, I had no idea about this. There's really people out there doing this as well. I thought I was the only one. My ancestors, my family, they've been practicing Oran therapy for years and I never knew about it, but now I feel like I want to go back to it. All sorts of people you would never know have been practicing these things and just have not come out into the open. So we're kind of shown something, we're shown one thing, and it's like we're just left to think that the world is like this because that's what we see. But when we can imagine something different, that's what we receive. So thank you for that question. That's a challenging question for me because it's always expanding. Yeah.
It's like we have to be ready. When we're ready, we sort of, things were always there. We just didn't see them because we weren't ready. But when we're ready, we start seeing them. It's like we change. When we change, the world changes or something like that. How does it go?
You got it. You got it. That's brilliant. You said it so eloquently. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jerome. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom and insights. And yeah, it was fascinating listening to you, all these sayings, So thank you.
Blessings. I received that, we bring it out of each other. Sometimes we need someone else to show us what we already have inside. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Jerome, so meanwhile, we got a few questions here in the chat. So Sema is asking, Sema, first of all, if you want to unmute yourself and ask it, you are welcome.
Yes, let's hear your voice, Sema.
Yeah. Let's see if she's here. Okay, I will just read it for now. So do you think we need to continue getting insights in our conditionings and programming in this journey? So whatever it tells you, I tell you the truth, it's difficult for me to understand to go in.
I'm here, Arik.
Very good,
Hi.
Sema. So
Hi,
maybe you could just clarify what you meant by that, just to extend it a little bit.
I mean, we all have, as you know, our programming, our belief systems, our conditionings that give direction to our life and behavior. So in order to grow, we work on it, try to see it, have insights. So in order we can change it and to change our lives in our personal growth. So the question is, should we keep on working on these things when we are in this higher journey, or does these things get solved by itself? And is that a growth at a lower level then? Can we see it this way?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question. And it's Sema?
Yes, Sema.
Sema, thank you for asking that.
From Belgium. Thank you.
What comes to my mind, the first thing that came to me was, instead of the daily addition, to focus more on the daily subtraction, the hacking away of the non-essential. It's kind of like that uncarved stone, and within that uncarved stone or that uncarved block, you chip away, you chip away, you chip away, you chip away. and then a beautiful sculpture or a statue is revealed beneath it, beneath the layers of all that extra, you know? And so when the more that I let go, the more I let in. It's like a recurring theme here, just like with Revital was talking about, like when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears. And these situations, these times only happen when I've let something go in my life. When I let go of the clothes I wasn't wearing, when I let go of the books I wasn't reading, the video games I wasn't playing, the movies I wasn't watching, all the material things that I thought that I was holding on to because it was comfortable for me to hold on to these things. When I had enough contentment within myself to let them go, so much more came in. Like new experiences came in, new insights came in on their own, naturally. New people came in to deliver something to me, and then they left. There's been people that have come into my life, given me a message, gone, never saw them again. And I feel like these encounters, they come in when I've let something go, you know? So that encouraged me to see, like, what else can I let go? It became like a game to me. And it's ongoing. It's like a journey that never ends. You're always kind of on that journey within yourself, having those new discoveries. But it's not like I feel I'll ever get to a point where I've arrived and I've attained this state and I'm enlightened now and I have no more work to do. There's a saying that I love, Sema. It says, you are complete, but you are not finished. Like you right now in your state, you are whole, but there's still more to be done. And while there's still breath in your body, it's your turn. You know, while your feet are on the ground, while you're here, you have purpose, you know? So that's what I like to see, that life is like an ongoing, never-ending journey, and it's an adventure. And it just keeps me open to the new possibilities around every corner.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap it up soon. And now towards the end, Jerome, I would love to ask you about first of all, your activities online. You mentioned that you have different kind of activities online, and specifically what kind of services you can provide to other people in order to help them to live more fulfilling life. So
thank you.
please tell us. Mm-hmm.
Blessings. Thank you so much for offering that and for allowing me to receive that. So anyone that would love to get in contact with me, of course, I'm sure that you can pass on my WhatsApp as well if you want to directly, get in touch with me that way, my WhatsApp, but also just on Instagram at JROMESHAW. So that's at Jerome Shaw. All my links are in the bio of that. So you'll find the podcast, you'll find the blogs, and you'll find I give consultations as well for anyone who would like to have coaching, has questions about the Pranic lifestyle, or just generally, if you want to, learn more about how to have more concentration and focus. People ask me all sorts of things that they want to be coached on with consultation. So I offer that in the bio of my Instagram as well. Yeah, and I teach Qigong. That's one of the things that I offer sessions for Qigong as well. And that's just an energy cultivation practice that I use for other people to learn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we'll put all the contact details below this video, including your Instagram account, your WhatsApp number, etc. If people want to contact you. Is it okay to put your WhatsApp number below the video on YouTube?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, Jerome, so we're going to wrap it up. We had lots of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, brother, and all the amazing people that gathered here. Thank you so much for your thoughtful questions and your wisdom and your participation. And Jerome, and who knows, maybe in a few weeks we can meet again and just do maybe cover some other subjects,
For sure. For sure. I enjoyed the back and forth, the interaction, the engagement. I love the energy in the room. Everyone is flowing in here, and you're very, you know, inquisitive. And I just enjoy that people have a yearning for learning. I feel like one of the wisest things that you can do is to ask questions. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had an idea. Maybe we could talk more about the energy cultivation, which is very, very important. You know, maybe do some basic qigong exercises to learn. You know, like we have lots of options for creativity. Just being creative and having fun.
Plenty of options. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jerome. Have a nice day.
All right. You too. Take care, everyone.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.